And they even have a song about, "This is a montage." For today's topic, this is mainly for producers or directors who are taking over the producer's hat. So there are 5 items you're going to look at in a script first off before you start doing a breakdown. These 5 items tend to be choices that the writer makes or places where the writer can be a bit lazy and they don't give you enough information for you to actually break down the script. And that one place where that happens a lot are things called montages. Now, a montage is a series of shots put together in order to explain something in a very short amount of time. For example, in Team America, when he goes from not wanting to be part of the team to wanting to be a part of the team, and they even have a song about, "This is a montage." So that's what a montage is. And this is where writers can sometimes get lazy and just say, oh, a series of shots where he's learning to become a badass. Well, that's difficult for a producer to break down and try to budget. Well, what does it mean he's becoming a badass? Is he going to the gym? Are there other characters? Is he going to a shooting range? Is he taking martial arts training? All of these things cost and they tend to add up. It's really what the writer is trying to get through on that, and also to be very specific on the places. And the second thing you're going to look at is you're going to look for any kind of copyright issues. Sometimes writers will write in a song or a TV show that helps explain what they're trying to show or is something that inspires them. You just have to be very careful because those things do have copyright issues, or if it's someone's name. So copyright issues is kind of an overall rights issues is what I'm talking about. So if you have an actual person and they don't have the life rights to that, that's another thing to look for. So anything that might be either a copyrights issue, a life rights issue, any kind of ownership that you may or may not have. Because if it's very necessary for the writer or director for it to be at a Pepsi factory, for example, and Pepsi doesn't want to license that to you, or Pepsi is not going to give it to you, they instead are going to charge you for it, that's going to be several thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars you're not expecting to pay. The third item to look at is stunts. Many times in a script you'll see a car chase where, bad guys get shot at and show he's a badass. But they're not specific on what that stunt is or what they're hoping or what is necessary to show the audience who this person is for the storyline. It's all storyline driven. If what they're putting in there is not storyline driven, well then it's up to the producer whether or not they're going to get it, because it comes down to cost. What they have written in there is car drives and jumps onto a train and then exits and goes off the other way. If that's not necessary and you're not doing the next Jackie Chan movie, or this isn't a Fast and Furious movie, you might want to talk to the writer about, does it even matter as far as the character development for the writer, what kind of action sequence happens, just an action sequence that you can do. Like, does he have to scale down the side of a building? Because that's very expensive and dangerous. If, say, your character is a former Black Ops and you want to show just, even though now he wears a suit and tie, he can still do things like belay off the side of a building, and that's an important part of his character, well, then that's a different conversation. But once again, this is one of the prelim things you need to find in the script and have conversations with your writer and director about. The fourth item and the fifth item kind of go together. Visual effects and special effects. These are two different things, but they kind of come down to the same thing. So sometimes you can do visual effects, smoke or rain, and special effects is then post-production. Sometimes people use those interchangeably, but green screens versus having smoke. To do practical effects, which is having an actual smoke machine versus going in post and trying to put in a smoke, those end up being cost estimations you have to figure out. Like, what's better to do? And frankly, do we even need it? And third and finally, is there a better way to go about it? For example, a script I just went over with a friend of mine, one of the things that popped up, the character puts something in the microwave, certain circumstances for why she put it in there, smoke starts coming out of the microwave. Okay, the whole point of it is that the character's a little absent-minded right now, her mind's somewhere else, but for you to do a smoke effect or a smoke scene, stunt, if you will, you have to have the smoke, which is dangerous in an enclosed space. You've also got to have the fire department out there. Plus that you have to give everyone a smoke bump Most people don't know that, but if there's smoke on set, especially in an enclosed space, then you have to pay people more. There's also the chance of the building not wanting you to do it, building permits, the fire alarms going off, the sprinkler systems going off. So there's all these other things to think about. If it's necessary in the script, like for example, she's absent-minded, the smoke thing happens, the fire department comes, and then she joins the fire department or meets a firefighter and falls in love, whatever it is. If that's story-driven, that's one thing. If it's just to show she's absent-minded, another idea is to, which is a lot simpler, a lot safer, and a lot cheaper, is put something on the stove and it boils over and she just walks off. Same idea, same show, a whole lot less expensive and less dangerous and complicated to do. Visual effects that happen later on. Gunshots, to make sure you have a spark, is it better to have a paintball or airsoft gun on set and make the gun look more real, or to do it in post-production? Because all that costs something, and you have to ask, well, do we even need it? Does it affect the story at all? If not, then it's just kind of money being thrown the other way. Now, if you work at a huge studio and you've got millions of dollars to play with, okay, then it's a little bit differently. But still, you have to stay within your budget guidelines. For smaller productions, especially when you're doing self-funded or you're on a shoestring budget, these things become very important because it will make the difference between having enough money for post-production or not. Those are the 5 things you need to look at when going through a script during your preliminary breakdown, before you actually sit down and spend your time breaking down the script, because you're going to have to go back to those things and you're going to have conversations. So don't make yourself do the work twice.